Just want to go over rationale first and foremost with this build. The aim is that it's going to be a gaming build, 1080p, full settings, ultra or whatever, high, and what we're aiming for with this is it's going to be good for any of your AAA titles that's currently out now, like your Battlefields, your Pubgs, your Fortnites, Apex Legends, but it'd also be good for somebody that's maybe going to go for going on Zwift or maybe a little bit of light video creation. It's a low-end workstation to a mid to high-end gaming rig, and we're going to put this thing together for £400. So looking around, you've got a case that costs 25 brand new, you've got a power supply that was brand new 25, you've got an SSD that was 20 new, you've got a terabyte hard drive that was 35 new, custom cables, used RAM, used board, used processor, and a used graphics card. The grand total was at just around £400 for the lot. As you can see from the case with it being brand new, so we've got it opened up, you can start seeing exactly what's going on inside. The layout's quite nice, it's tidy with a nice power supply shroud, it's got tempered glass at the front. Unfortunately it's got acrylic on the side, but as long as you look after it, it's not a problem. Again, that's a little bit better picture. You can see it is compact as well, it's an M80X, but it's even a small case for an M80X case. All the cables that run for the front I/O are all nice and black and tidy, no issues there. The back again, quite well laid out. One thing you've got to note is get your SSD in first, because if you don't and you put the motherboard in, you can't mount it there, it's got to be mounted elsewhere. So just bear that in mind when you do building. Again, there's the screws and they're behind the motherboard tray, so once that board's in, that's it. Moving on, I think the next job will be to pop the hard drive in. Either sled will do, it's just the one I've chosen is the lower one just because I did, no reason there at all, to be honest. Next job is we're going to move on and we're going to pop the I/O shield in for the motherboard. Just make sure it's the right way up, nothing special. Pop, 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 a little bit of pressure when you pop it in, but as a general rule, no issues ever. Then we're looking at the motherboard. The board I've bought, it's used and it's come with a processor in it which is a Pentium G. So without messing about with it and dusting it and cleaning it, I haven't touched it. I'm going to make sure that the Pentium works first, and I'm going to make sure the BIOS is brought fully up to date and all those sorts of things before I then put my actual processor that we're using in the build onto it. The processor that we're going to use is an i7-3770, non-K because it's a non-overclocking motherboard, but things to note with the motherboard here is that we've made sure we've got USB 3, which is it's a 3rd gen processor, and 3rd gen is the first chance you can get to run that sort of thing. So we've got PCI Express 3.0, we've got USB 3, and we've got SATA gig 6 gigabit a second on the white ports, which are canted over on the right hand side. If you bear that in mind, we've got an 8-pin for CPU, we've got PCIe 3.0, USB 3 and SATA 6 gig. It's a fully modern motherboard, right up to date in those respects. The only thing that's ever so slightly slower than modern stuff is DDR3. But again, with the cast latency of 9 that I've bought, I really don't think that's an issue either. So as you look at the board, it is dusty and a mess, but we're going to clean that now. That's the RAM I've bought. Nothing special, but what I've been trying to aim for is the theme of the build is blue, so I've got a blue motherboard. I've tried to get the blue RAM that matches on the PCB. That's 2 4GB sticks out of 1333, nothing particularly special. Straight into the board, and we're going to now give the board a really good clean with the paintbrush and some alcohol. A brand new paintbrush that's never been used, it's just using as a duster. You could use an old makeup brush as long as it's clean, anything like that, just to give it a clean, make sure all the dust is out, make sure everything's as it should be. You can see on the PCIe slot there's dust, and it's basically crusted on all over the board. It wants a little bit of work, but a little bit of time spent and we'll have this thing looking like brand new. So there you can see, once it's now in the case, it's all clean, it's shiny, it looks good. The Intel heatsink, again, once we're fully up to date, we're not going to be using that, we're going to be removing it for an aftermarket cooler, but for the time being, until we get the BIOS updated and everything installed, that's going to be a placeholder to protect the pins and so on. We've also gone for the sky blue SATA cables, and then the wiring at the back. So what I tend to do is fit the power supply, and then I fan the cables out and make sure none of them are tangled or anything. Once they're fanned out and so on, I can start running it, any extension sleeves that I've got, and then start plugging things in and tidying up, zip ties. Cable management is one of the biggest things to make a build look really good, and you just concentrate. A little bit of work here really pays off. So fans I've got, the blue fan's going to be at the top. That's just to accent like the case. It's just a 3-pin fan. The Corsair fan, that's also a 3-pin. It's just the rear case fan. The two star-shaped Cooler Master ones, they're 4-pin PWM. They've got a splitter. This motherboard's got plenty of fan headers. That's another thing that I always look for. And there they are installed, as you can see, looking tidy. We're starting to get his cables in. Motherboard, like I said before, it's clean, tidy once it's been done. And case and the build are really starting to come together here. In goes the LED strip. This wasn't expensive. I think it was between £5 and £10 UK. It's just a blue strip to match the rest of the build and to match the blue LED fan. The whole theme is blue. Moving on to the rear, you can see this is the beginnings of cable management, cable ties, making sure everything once it's in place stays in place and doesn't move around, doesn't rattle around, doesn't come unplugged. Just making a nice tidy job out of it. And again, now we've got the graphics card in, we've got the cable for that run, so the cable management at the back's done. We're now going to start doing his updates on his BIOS and making sure everything's showing up in there and all the settings are right before we install Windows. We're going to make sure everything's up to date on the hardware side, and then we'll move on and we'll do the Windows install and so on and so forth after we've put us a final processor in and so on. So you can see this is it powered up. So this is where I'm doing the updates themselves. So main thing, chipset updates, BIOS updates, anything that you can get from the manufacturer's website for the motherboard with another computer and put on a USB stick. Anything that wants updating hardware wise, I always do first, because then when I put my Windows install on, everything's exactly as it should be, and it just goes from there. We know our alterations further down the line. It just makes for a better experience in the long term of running the operating system, in my opinion. Again, this is just another angle. The graphics card's an RX 580 4GB. Paid £100 for this used. It's probably an X mining card, but once I got it, I made sure that like I always do, I repasted the card by stripping it down and repasting it. And then again, here we go. This is the build finalised. So we've changed in as 3770. We've put us aftermarket cooler on. We've got all of us drivers up to date. We're installing Windows, and then after that, we get to the point where we do a few benchmarks and the machine's ready to go to a customer. This kind of a machine, it'll run 1080p on any game, high to ultra settings, 60 plus FPS, absolutely no problems. If you're talking about riding on Zwift, you can have all the accessories you want firing off this machine. It's a 4-core 8-thread machine, it's thoroughly modern, and it really is fast as well. You know, we're talking a few seconds to boot up. We're talking 120 gig SSD, which is more than ample for most things, but then we've got a terabyte hard drive for bulk storage, so any music, videos, games that are large. I personally run the games that I'm actually playing really a lot, I tend to put on the solid state drive, but once I stop playing them I tend to move them over onto the other drive. But you can see it really is a good looking little machine. It's come out really well, and for £400 in UK money, you honestly cannot argue with it. Here's the benchmark results for it. The gaming results are a little bit low, but that's because it's probably been mined on, and I believe that that'll come up to the low to mid 60s once it's settled down. Again, that's a picture of the build. It doesn't have to be like that. This is another build that I've done extremely similar. Only difference between that and this is that this one's got a GTX 970 in it and a slightly lesser motherboard, unfortunately. And that one looks like this in hot pink. Again, really nice build. With the peripherals, it cost more than 400, but the box was 400. And then again, this one here has actually got an i5 processor in it, but a really nice 77 spec motherboard. But it's got an RX 470 in it. That one's in red and white. Again, same case and so on. Very similar builds, all three.